Okay, I will now open the webinar as we are at 11. Hi, good morning. Welcome to this session for the launch of the new Open Core SmartAgriHub. We're going to slowly wait for all the attendees to join in. I can see that the numbers are slowly trickling in. Okay, let's give it one more minute for all the attendees that were in the waiting room to join. Okay, let's slowly start as it's 11:01. Welcome to this session for the launch of a new SmartAgriHub Open Call that would be service. My name is Margot Plurien. I work with the communication and ecosystem team of SmartAgriHub, and I will be your technical host for this session. I have with me now on the screen Harald Zundmaker, who is the Work Package 2 leader, and will tell you more about the requirement and perspective of service. A kind reminder that we are welcoming all questions, but especially if they are put in the Q&A tab. So please refer to the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. If you have any question, we will have a little segment at the end to review all of your interrogation and provide you with more insights. For now, I will just put myself on the background, in the backstage, and I will let the floor to Harald.
Margot, thank you very much for the introduction. And thank you very much to all of you for joining to this webinar. And so, as Margot already said, my name is Harald Zundmaker. I'm leading in the SmartAgriHubs project, the Work Package 2, which is organizing these the open calls. On the one hand, definition of the open calls in cooperation with all the colleagues in SmartAgriHubs. As you know, we have quite a lot of organizations and partners involved in this project, with over 160 organizations nowadays. And we're also organizing the evaluation and selection process of proposals. So today we have a great opportunity to present to you an announcement of a new open call. We called it Service. So just also more or less to differentiate the different open calls, because up to today, we had before already 5 open calls. This is the 6th one. And with this service open call, we would really try to offer a new opportunity, which I would like to present today. And therefore, what we would like to present today, it's a short introduction, which are for those who are possibly not so much involved before in the SmartAgriHubs project, that you're getting a short overview what we are targeting at. Also, when you are thinking, oh, I shall prepare, or I would like to prepare a proposal, that you also get an idea what's the background of the project, a very short glance on that. Then, of course, about the new service open calls, and then, of course, about timing, characteristics, and we are also adding some links that you can also have more information on this. Because today, as Margot already introduced today, you will be able to ask direct questions to us. Please use the frequently asked questions window for that. And however, also after the open call, you will have the opportunity to contact us via the SmartAgriHubs forum. You can put there direct questions. So there will be anyway, also after today, a lot of opportunities to stay in contact. So therefore, who's SmartAgriHubs? So I'm just putting a general overview slide, which we are using quite often to give you an impression what we're doing. It's about a project which is funded by the European Commission. It's about 48 months of duration. So it's funded in the RTD program of the European Commission. So it's with partners, more or less it's a pan-European project, partners from all over the European Union. And it's a a network of innovation networks, I would say. Therefore, here we have some KPIs, so some indicators, what we were putting together really to enable digital transformation. So digital transformation, agri-food, that's our main mission, what we are doing. So if you're looking here, quite a lot of partners, and even when we're looking in the past on the other open calls we did before, even there we had way more partners which are also involved in those proposals, in those activities. Therefore, if you look now at 168 partners, there are even quite a lot more which are already in contact and actively collaborating with us. And then there's even a large community. And this you will see when you're visiting our website. Also the network, also there you are very much invited to register yourself to become a member there of the community. And this registration, to say it, it's without costs, and it's just for being able really to collaborate in this large network of stakeholders. So we have already quite some innovation activities, as we call them, flagship innovation experiments. We have digital innovation hubs, competence centers, and one of the elements are the open calls we are organizing. So as you see here on the slide, we reserved in the project 6 million euro for organizing open calls. And based on this available funding, also this service open call will offer you an opportunity to participate, let's say, in this community. Therefore, thinking back on the strategy of SmartAgriHubs, so with our colleagues, we are already working for quite some time, even before SmartAgriHubs, on how can we improve digital innovation and how can we support digital innovation, transformation in the agri-food, nutrition and health sector. We see there are many relations, and we always see also with the sake of technology. So we all know it's not only technology, but specifically nowadays with technology, you can have new dimensions of decision-making for business, consumers. There are new potentials for food integrity. Also, even the public decision-making on food safety, the environment, nutrition, climate, health, food security can get to another dimension. And of course, as I said, yes, we believe that a lot of, on the one hand, organizational non-tech stuff is very, very important for being able to do so. However, we also know that a lot of potentials are without technologies also very hardly to really achieve in cost and benefit terms. Therefore, yes, of course, we also have a lot of technologies when we're looking at, I don't know, blockchain technology, linked data, big data analytics, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, more and more hyped nowadays. So a lot of technologies which are out there. However, when we are now looking in the real world, we also must admit there's a challenge on the one hand for solution providers as well as for the end user. So how to start really this digital transformation without a thorough knowledge and experience about available solutions, cost, benefits, and potential pitfalls? Because we know on the one hand, we have a lot of organizations which are very advanced. On the other hand, there are also a lot which are using a certain amount of technologies, a certain amount of advancement, but they're also a little bit suspicious because we're talking then about investments. We are talking about, so how will it really pay back? So therefore, that is also a situation where we as a SmartAgriHubs project, as a strategic objective set, so how can we build a network and a community for digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation in the European agri-food sector? How can we support this process to really push, let's say, and facilitate the uptake, the usage of innovations of digital technologies in the agri-food domain? Therefore, also now from a more, let's say, organizational perspective, and possibly you already visited the website of SmartAgriHubs, and there you see something about hubs, about competence centers, about innovation activities. And more or less, these are kind of, let's say, organizational terms we are using a little bit to describe where we see these are kind of functions in the community. We see on the one hand, of course, we have innovation activities, we have end users, and also innovation providers which want to push the agri-food domain further, which want to advance there. At the other side, we see, and that's, let's say, in the most recent years, we have this initiative towards digital innovation hubs, which are really now organizations, and I will tell something about how we interpret them, which are located in regions and provide a kind of coaching, mentoring, consultancy to innovation activities, more, let's say, to have this regional contact point for digital innovation. On the other hand, we also see what presented there on the other slide about the competence centers, where we have really organization which focus themselves on certain competencies, on certain technologies, on approaches, and where also there we have a kind of, let's say, topical network and also a regional network, which are also then at the very end collaborating together to facilitate those innovation activities. Now, and we see those digital innovation hubs as this regional network also as, let's say, in the focus of our open calls, where we say, yes, the strategy of digital innovation hubs is about orchestration of digital transformation. And there it's not just, let's say, one organization doing something, it's way more about orchestration. Where we say the digital innovation hubs are orchestrating services, collaboration, and involving diverse stakeholders. So therefore, we are also often using this graphic, and when we're looking at this environment, it's a lot of stakeholders which are, let's say, facilitating innovation in the agri-food sectors, as we put here: advisors, research organizations, startups, education, large companies, small companies, so industry associations. So quite a huge network of organization of the community who is active in this domain. So therefore, what we are saying, it's not the digital innovation hub who needs to have all the competencies. It's what we see, it's a kind of, with this orchestration, really opening the access to quite a number of other organizations, to this network, and at the very end to competencies. And really, how can we benefit from each other? Because just in this, let's say, combination of this community, of this network, we think we can really, let's say, realize our strength. Therefore, possibly you are asking yourself already, so what is a digital innovation hub? And we tried to also summarize this on one slide. While I must admit, so that is the definition we are using in the moment for our open calls in the SmartAgriHubs project. There are different initiatives all over Europe, and our definition of a digital innovation hub is driven also by our curiosity. We want to push innovation, and also the SmartAgriHubs project itself wants to learn what are the do's and don'ts. We are not saying, oh, a digital innovation hub must only do this or that, this size. So we are very flexible and open, because it's not in the moment we really want to learn. We really want to facilitate by the community to gather best practices and want to learn what's the best way of facilitating digital innovation. However, where we say what is possibly the kind of framework we are using to define a digital innovation hub, we are saying, yes, at first hand, these are support organizations. So they are making businesses more competitive, speeding up the development and uptake of digital innovations. Quite generic. So they provide the services close to the end users. Therefore, this means what we see as a digital innovation hub, I presented with the slide before, they are nearby, they are in the regions. We want to avoid language barriers. We want to have really contact points where solution providers, end users can really go to and really get support at their place. Of course, not limiting the collaboration of digital innovation hubs, and this we see, as you see, the community and the SmartAgriHubs project. We also see a big value in collaboration of different digital innovation hubs, collaboration of organization, collaboration with competence centers, and also this will help the overall community. Therefore, what we say, the digital innovation hub is also rather a role of an organization. You need not to register now a new organization, say, oh yeah, that's now the Digital Innovation Hub. We also see a lot of organizations which are active there in the role as a Digital Innovation Hub, possibly doing also many other things aside. Therefore, it's not necessarily the only purpose. There might be organizations which were just funded for the purpose of being a Digital Innovation Hub, but we also see it need not to be the only purpose. And even we see that some Digital Innovation Hubs are not one organization itself. We also see that Digital Innovation Hubs are organized by teams of cooperating organizations. So what I said before, we are offering a huge flexibility, because when we are talking about Digital Innovation Hubs, we see we would like to leave a lot of degree of freedom also to learn of what are possibly the best types of organizations or the most successful types for which type of digital transformation process which can be initiated. So what can be realized there? Then continuing, so when we have a Digital Innovation Hub, we are also asking ourselves, so providing services to facilitate digital innovations. So, and we are also coming from a background, a part of the partners in SmartAgriHubs, which are from research, from innovation, also from startup initiatives. And yes, and I think sometimes when you're doing research, you are thinking research and innovation and thinking, oh yeah, it's great. Now we solved all the problems of the world. So as we all know, no, it is not like that. And we also think just with this, a challenging journey is just starting to successfully commercialize and use innovative solutions. Therefore, what we are saying, we are addressing solution providers and end users, because for both sides, it's really a challenge. If I have a new technology, if I have a new solution, a new type of organization, of processes, of realizing a product, of providing a product, how to really establish this in the market, how to roll it out. So there are a lot of challenges after, let's say, and therefore we were also putting there the graphic there with this old known valley of death, coming really from the research and innovation. And how can I really put such innovations in the real world? How can I really generate success on the one hand for the solution providers, but also the applicability, the real situation for the end user? Therefore, of course, we want to identify most promising approaches to facilitate the digital innovation process. So testing, validating innovative approaches suitable for solution providers and our end users. And I said before, and we want to learn. We want to learn how to bridge also the valley of death and to go on it. Therefore, we are launching, and we published last week on Wednesday, we published on our website the service open call, as we call it. And this call is to set up, test, and validate approaches and services that are supporting solution providers and end users, as a summarizing sentence of what this open call is aiming at. So therefore, I'm trying to give you a little bit more information in this direction. So digital innovation hubs, we see them in the kind of driving seat for proposals. We think a digital innovation hub shall coordinate such a project. So because the Digital Innovation Hub is a regional partner for innovation, but we also consider it valuable if different digital innovation hubs are joining a project, joining forces, are even collaborating on certain elements, or where you think you can learn from each other, even help their end users in this direction. So, and this open call finances the service provision, so, and enabling to support, coach, mentor, train end users, solution providers, more or less for free. For all the, let's say, those efforts to realize the services, to offer those services, to validate those services, to test those services, are covered by, can be covered by the SmartAgriHubs funding. And therefore, you can even offer your service provision then to potential end users for free. So, and the DIH, we consider them, those digital innovation hubs, we consider them as also nodes in the European Innovation Network. And we are inviting you explicitly to become member of the SmartAgriHubs network. And we have really a lot of organizations. You can really have here a lot of interaction, learn and join forces. And we see this also real added value for you. So what can be proposed to SmartAgriHubs? A little bit more detail. We are funding proposals that are developing, providing, and validating digital innovation hub services, as well as developing and validating innovative approaches, how to offer such services. Because it's not just, oh, I have this or that type of service, consultancy, mentoring, but also the approach how you are offering it. Because we think that is also very, very important that you have a kind of scheme how you are offering your services to solution providers and end users. Therefore, we think those DIH services are a kind of coaching and mentoring. And this does not only address technical topics, but also ecosystem and business services, because we think it's quite wide, the support which is needed to facilitate a digital transformation. And then if you're offering services yourself, this does not need that those services itself need to be digital. Like for legal coaching, as an example, we have here. Legal coaching is not necessarily digital services, but a coaching and very tangible, very required, which is really building upon competency of individuals, where you have, let's say, even without digital means, are offering such services. So it's not about the services being digital, but that is facilitating of digital innovation in the agri-food domain. Therefore, possibly as a summary, development and provision of services to facilitate the realization of digital transformation at end users and solution. Therefore, when we are talking now about this, because also that you get a better understanding what we are thinking about when we are always talking about digital innovation hub services. What are those? Therefore, we were also in the team, in the overall team of SmartAgriHubs, we were working already quite some time on different scenarios and reference scenarios. And also here, our colleagues which are working on the topic of digital innovation hubs and how we can facilitate that. It's not just work in SmartAgriHubs. There's also a lot of work, a lot of collaboration with other initiatives, with other projects, where they are also exchanging experience. And it's not just a matter that we're saying, yeah, that's only true for SmartAgriHubs, but also there even categories of services like you see here at the right-hand side in the slide on ecosystem technology and business, such categorization and even subcategories and so on are also compatible to other initiatives, which are also active in quite different business domains and not just agri. And therefore, what I talked before a little bit on strategy, and also Digital Innovation Hub shall have a strategy. And we're not asking that you need to have everything possible in a portfolio and 100% of any imaginable service. I think it needs to correlate also to your region, to the needs of potential solution providers and end users, which are talking to you, which are asking you for help. It shall really also be compatible to the local conditions, because we all know we have diverse regions in Europe where really the conditions are quite different. Also, the technology adoption is quite different. And therefore, I think we do not see that there's a one-size-fits-all approach. Therefore, I think it's very important that you develop your own strategy. Therefore, what we are also presenting here, that we're saying with the ecosystem, with community building, strategy development, ecosystem learning, representation learning. So these are just examples where I think it's up to you to select the right building blocks for your strategy, for your innovation approach you want to offer in your region. I think that's very important. However, at the same time, we also want to share our experience. We wanted to share our, let's say, reference schemes where, as I said, which are also coming out of collaboration with quite some organizations, with quite some other projects and initiatives. And therefore also, when you possibly already looked at the open call fiche, you will find a list with innovation services. And what we did there, we also try to give you a little orientation that we were here. That's the overview. That's one page in the open call fiche with the overview of all the different, let's say, services we see, let's say, as part of, which could be a part of a digital innovation hub strategy. And at the same time, what we did, we were identifying examples for fundable activities, because I think we also need to, well, what we wanted to do is we wanted to learn also from our experience in SmartAgriHubs, because we have quite a number of digital innovation hubs active in SmartAgriHubs, which are already doing, I think we're now at 28 innovation experiments, quite huge. We call it their flagship innovation experiments, quite huge ones. And we also wanted to learn from them. And therefore, also those colleagues were giving feedback of what might be activities which are really applicable to those services. And then you are highlighting here specifically also triggering your ideas, triggering your thinking, what can be offered. Therefore, we are also giving here examples for fundable activities within the open call fiche. Also, let's say to also facilitate the process of preparing a proposal, also triggering thinking. And you will find all this list as an annex in the open call fiche. And so, as I said, these are examples of fundable activities. So we do not really want to limit it, but also we wanted also to help you to get an idea, what do we mean if we're talking about digital innovation? What are we mean if we're talking about supporting solution providers and end users in the agri-food domain? So therefore, role of proposers. I think this is also a very important slide. Because the DIH, what I said before already, are overtaking the role of orchestrators. They should also at least one organization, which are part or the only one organization of a digital innovation hub, shall coordinate a proposal. So they are usually leading the proposal preparation in the scope of the SmartAgriHubs open calls. So they are searching also for other available resources based on needs of the team, and let's say setting up all this environment on the one hand to prepare services as well as provide them to potential solution providers and end users, also to getting feedback on how really how good your approach is working. So solution providers are defining the challenges and somehow study logic to realize the innovation activities, including the offering for digitalization. The end users are detailing their needs, shortcomings, and related requirements, so that you have your kind of environment where you can, on the one hand, develop your services and then provide them for free to this type of solution providers and end users, and that they can benefit from this, but at the same time give also feedback to you. Yes, we are the SmartAgriHubs beneficiaries, so existing partners in the SmartAgriHubs project. If you think it would be beneficial for your initiative, you would like to use existing experience already from partners which are members of the project, you please contact them, discuss it with them. If they could support you on this, they can also, to a limited amount, to say clearly, to a limited amount, they can also support you in the realization of your project. So, and to be clearly, any other organization could support the provision of digital innovation hub services. So there are also other organizations which possibly in the moment do not see themselves as a full digital innovation hub, or even having more or less another role where they see their focus. On the other hand, they say, yes, and this type of digital innovation hubs, we can really support other or those digital innovation hubs in providing those services. We have this very specific competency, and we can really provide the service provision by the digital innovation hub. And therefore, we did not want in this call, as we focus here really on the realization of the service, on the provision of the service, we did not want to limit that. Therefore, any other organization can be member to provide and support, let's say, the provision of the service. And this is also funded. Be clear on that. therefore, the innovative approaches to develop and deliver services. On the one hand, you are defining your portfolio of services. This is just a slide where I just wanted to highlight. So it's not just about, of course, providing the supporting services and at the very end also validating the services and approach, but at the same time, what we are asking you also to have a kind of approach, how you can refine, develop, improve services and approach for providing the services. So more or less, what is your, let's say, approach, your procedure, how you really gather feedback, how you provide it, how also you are offering the support in your region. So also please have some ideas about the approach, because if it's just a kind of, oh yeah, I want to provide this service and I would like to have some funding for it, that's it, half a page description. I think that's usually when I was also talking to evaluators, then they really don't get the idea what is really in behind. What is the strategy of your digital innovation, of even the innovation strategy in your region? And that's really, please explain this story. So how you are really providing that. I think this is very helpful on the one hand for yourself, for offering such services, to learn, to collaborate, to be really a member in a community, and to have here really a sustainable approach. Because what we also want to achieve, to be clear on that, it's not just that we're saying, oh yeah, we have here some funding, please do a project and goodbye. It's rather that we want also with the SmartAgriHubs project really to initiate a pan-European collaboration, a real community on digital innovation and transformation, that we have here a network. If I have some questions, that I can go to this network and that I can really contact people. Because we see always in research and innovation and in transformation, there are a lot of questions. And we see there are a lot of people who have already some experience on that. This was also the reason why we said, yes, it is a great idea to put in the portal the overview of the network. You can go in our website for free after registration. You can search the map, you can search for type of organizations, you will find their contact details, and straightforward you can contact those organizations and ask your questions. So we see that this is really an added value for all of us, really for all of us being active in this domain. Therefore, summarizing the characteristics of the open call on time, on funding, so more the administrative perspective. So topic, service, the SmartAgriHubs community. This is just, say, a very short title for this, and using service when I'm talking about the open call, because then we know which call we mean, because well, now with the 6 open call, this might be sometimes confusing which call we mean. So the service open call, therefore we're calling it like that. It's for digital innovation hubs and organizations offering edge services. So I mean, they can receive funding. So that's the idea on the proposals. Of course, very welcome to involve a lot of solution providers, a lot of end users which are supported. So the funding, it's where we think for such a setting, and after also this analysis of previous open calls, also the experience in the project, we think in area between 50 and 200,000 euro per project would be appropriate. And we said we are putting in the moment, or we are putting maximum 3 million euro total funding for the service open call. So this means you have quite some, even if there are maximum requests for 200,000, you would have even minimum 15 projects which could be funded. And usually there are also projects which are asking less. Therefore, quite an amount of funding, and let's say also the chances for winning a proposal are then not as bad as also when we're looking at the past open calls. So the chances for winning a proposal are not so bad. So therefore, I think it's a very good opportunity. Of course, first come, first serve. If the money is gone, if we selected the proposals, we have to close the open call even earlier to the announced deadline. So however, now to the deadlines, we are opening the open call on September 22nd. So meaning last week, it is open. The evaluation, we will use a continuous submission scheme. If you already were involved in previous calls of SmartAgriHubs, we did it also for the restart, the expand open call, for instance. There we are organizing in cycles of every 2-3 months evaluation deadlines, where we are evaluating those proposals which we received, just to have a kind of organization in this process. And so the next deadline, or the first deadline for service, will be November 10th. So beginning of November, 1700 Brussels time. Please send us their proposals with the proposal submission system and evaluation system, but you find the links on our website. And the call will finally close, or latest closure is on June 29th. Of course, as I said before, if the budget is already reserved for selected proposals, it will be closed even earlier, to be very clear on that. It might be it will be closed after November 11th, if there are, after November 10th, if there are this number of projects which are claiming already this amount of budget. Possibly not, then it will be open, and then we will announce additional deadlines. So there will definitely, if there's funding available, a deadline on June 29th, and then 2 or 3 additional deadlines in 2022. So project start, it's usual. We are doing in evaluation. It's usually takes some 2-3 weeks on evaluating the proposals, also a little bit depending on the number of proposals, of course. And after that, we are handing over the proposals for contract negotiation to our colleagues doing this. And then it takes some 2-3 weeks, depending a little bit on possibly open questions, to prepare a contract. And after that, the project can start. So the implementation activities are funded by SmartAgriHubs Max until October 2022. SmartAgriHubs will close on October 2022. However, this does not mean that you are designing a project where you're saying, yes, of course, we can, let's say, we would fund activities until October, but you're saying yes. And however, our project will go even further on until, let's say, this or that date. Of course, we cannot fund activities after October 2022, but it could also be even continue without funding. And of course, what I said before, with preferably with a sustainable business. So, as I said, Digital Innovation Hubs are coordinating a project. So from an organization perspective, a Digital Innovation Hub coordinates the funded project and signs a contract with SmartAgriHubs. So, meaning you're signing a contract with us, and the payment would go to the coordinator, and the coordinator would then distribute the funding to those partners with eligible costs. So setup, offering, test, and validate of Digital Innovation Hub service provision is funded by SmartAgriHubs. The coordinating Digital Innovation Hub shall manage the work, as I said, and distribute the funding. And of course, the Digital Innovation Hub can also use competencies of other organizations to provide the Digital Innovation Hub services. This can be covered by the provided funding. What I said before, any organization which is offering, let's say, this support, this provision of services, development of services, can also be funded. So that is the idea here. To be taken into account, that's also a little bit more on the administrative side. We're funding on a lump sum basis. So please, when you are preparing a proposal, define your work in terms of deliverables. So those deliverables are presenting the outcome. You're planning the work, you're doing this, this, and that. And then finally, it will be presented in a kind of possibly reporting on what you did. And when you can, let's say, then with this, you're showing, yeah, we did this, this, and that. And then based on this delivery of the result, we can make the tick saying, yes, they did this work on a lump sum basis. We can release then the funding at defined moments in time. So the funding rate is 70 or 100%. So 100% of funding for non-profit organizations, 70% of funding for all other organizations for those eligible costs. You will find a little bit more information in the papers. You can download via the open call page. And organization can only receive funding in max of 4 different projects. What we said a little bit, also interested organization which already submitted the proposals in a call before. We always were a little bit limiting it, saying, yeah, we wanted to give the opportunity to quite a number of organizations. There we said, yes, anyway, if you already were involved in a different open call, with this, we are, let's say, increasing the amount of project. Even if you were involved before, you could receive funding in maximum 4 different projects. However, we set a deadline, a maximum amount of 100,000 euro per organization. If you already received 100,000 euro funding in 1 or 2 projects, sorry, we said so. We limited this amount of funding per organization to 100,000 euro. Very clear, all partners must register in the SmartAgriHubs portal before submitting a proposal. So this also, let's say, automatically is adding you to the network there. And we are also asking Digital Innovation Hubs to prepare a maturity self-assessment. So you will also find some information on this in the open call fiche. This shall help also the evaluators in evaluating your strategy, your Digital Innovation Hub strategy of what you are planning, of what you are doing. And it's not that you have the highest maturity level on everything, not at all. Possibly even contrary. If you're saying, yes, we want to develop something, possibly your current maturity level is not as high, but then also an evaluator get an idea. So they are at this point and they want to go there, and that's the strategy of going there. And that's the way you can also present this in your proposal. So, however, there's a tool available under tools in the SmartAgriHubs portal where you can do a maturity self-assessment. So it's not a big deal, and it's also an outcome with a PDF. And then we are asking you to add also this PDF to the proposal, to your proposal, which you will upload in the evaluation management system. So, summary, what we want to have is make digital innovation services available at a local level, minimize language, cultural barriers, really be there where the end users and the solution providers are, really helping them to lower the barriers to digital innovation. Facilitate the consideration of regional peculiarities and requirements. Really, please also in the proposals, look in your region, what is there the status? And I think the regions are quite different, and we know that definitely. And we are not expecting same type of proposals for different regions, and really reflect of what are the needs of end users and solution providers in your region. And therefore enlarge the SmartAgriHubs innovation network and contribute to a generally improved collaboration in the agri-food domain. That's really, how can we really get a critical mass in this community and really collaborate, exchange experience, and really exchange also best practices on doing digital innovation. Enable interdisciplinary cooperation and cross-sectoral collaboration, because we see, it's a lot about cooperation. It's not just about the tech stuff, it's about ethical stuff, legal stuff, about sustainability, a lot of topics out there, which we need quite some competency when we are talking about digital transformation. Finally, benefiting from experience gain and lessons learned, to be clear on that. So then I have a slide on the timing, overall timing, because before I was talking about, we had this amount of open calls. We had, as I said, 5 other open calls because Respond were in principle 2 open calls. More or less, it was 1 larger challenge call and the call for hackathon type of activities. This was Respond in the very beginning when we started, surprised by the COVID-19 pandemic, as more or less all of us last year. However, therefore, we also changed our open call program. And then we continued with the Restart and Expand open call. The Prepare open call was also taking place between March and May this year, where also different teams were active with preparing proposals, specifically also to expand. So we received also yesterday was a deadline where we received several proposals for the restart and expand open calls. While the restart call closed yesterday, 1700, it closed. No chance anymore to submit any proposal for restart. So that's gone. And now it's the expand and the service open call, which in the moment, unless funding is available, are open until the June 29th next year. And more or less those calls, more or less saying with the expand open call, we still have the focus more on providing support to innovation experiments and with even more funding, really to have their thorough validation, test and validation of those services provided by Digital Innovation Hubs. And with service, we have more on this, let's say, how can we set up services, realize service provision by Digital Innovation Hub. So that's a little different model. So there are, of course, overlapping elements, of course, but the focus is somehow different. However, if you also want to learn more from SmartAgriHubs, you're very much invited to look at our portal. We have even a learning platform where you find different webinars and material where you can have a look at. And I think there a lot is going on. We have a forum where you can ask questions, not just about the open call. I'm just referencing now the open call page because this webinar is on the open call. But however, there are also other topics and quite a lot of people available there. And you're very much invited to go there. Also with our tool side, we have the Agricultural Technology Navigator, where also competence centers are invited to go there, advertise their competency. So that a lot of stuff is available there, and you're very much invited to use this portal, even besides the open call. So then I put some links to this additional information. Exactly the website with the open call documents. There you can download all the documents as PDF. In the website, we have some general, let's say, explanation. And if you have questions, you can use the forum. There we are usually, so not in 5 minutes, please forgive us, but we are trying at least daily to check the questions there and answer those questions. Then the SmartAgriHubs tools, like the self-assessment, the learning platform, the technology navigator, on the tools page, of webinars, online events. We have a library, so a lot of material is there. Therefore, I think a lot to go. That was our webinar on the service open call. I already see on my other screen that there are some questions. I just need to move the window and need to check if I'm hearing. No, I need to.
Yes, we do have indeed like a couple
because
of
energy
questions.
efficiency says my speakers are switching off after a moment in time. So now I hear also, now I would hear you, Margot.
Perfect.
So let's go to the questions then.
Yes, exactly. We get quite a bit of activity within the chat and within the Q&A. Just a kind reminder, please use the Q&A tab for us to track. If I may just take in one of the discussion we had from Annick about the availability of the presentation. We were talking about this before the event, Harald. There is request to access your PPT, so we can maybe check after to make it available on the innovation portal, as you mentioned. If we look at the Q&A tab, so we have several questions that could be grouped. I would say one section would be number of projects within one proposal. So I get from Alpha, from also Emmeline, and from someone anonymous, how many partners do we need in submitting the proposal? Can it be only one SME? And we get, for example, Considering the high number of existing DIH, is there an opportunity or requirement for this co-proposer to cooperate with existing network? Or is there a danger of duplication in some region?
So yeah, thank you very much for all the questions. I think, yeah, let's try to go through the questions. And anyway, I reserved anyway some time, so we possibly need not to stop at 12. If we need some minutes more, then we will somehow continue. Considering the high number of existing digital innovation hubs, yes, there are a number of digital innovation hubs. Is there an opportunity requirement for this call proposers to cooperate with existing networks? It's or might be there a danger of duplication in some regions. So to be very clear, we want to learn. We are an innovation project and we want to learn really from the strategies which are applied. And therefore, what we want to do is to really look what are approaches. And yes, indeed, if you are saying now, yeah, there are possibly already some digital innovation hubs existing in my region. And of course, you're very much invited either regionally to cooperate with them, or also say, yeah, we are doing it a little bit differently. We want to establish our own approach. So it's not so much that we want to have an exclusivity of, so it need not to be exclusive in the region, because here we are way more on the way that we want to learn from the digital innovation hubs. What is the best approach? We are not a policy activity. We are an innovation project and we want to learn. We do not want to structure the regions. What the regions are finally doing from their, let's say, policy activities. And so that's not our topic. And who is possibly also in the future supporting whom in the region. And so that is a regional matter. It's rather here from our idea that we want to learn from the regions. And therefore, if there is already activity done, so that should not be a limiting factor. Our evaluators are rather looking on your approach. They are really, and also in the briefings, we are asking the evaluators, please look at the approach of the digital innovation hubs. What are they planning to do? And of course, it also depends on your approach. If it makes sense to collaborate or not to collaborate with existing DIH or other DIH in other regions, or if you're saying, yes, in the moment, it's rather very important that we want to try out this kind of service portfolio because we think there's a need. Of course, you shall have an idea why you are offering. And therefore, I think I do not see in the moment the duplication in some regions. I rather see if you think that it would make sense to be active as a digital innovation hub, then please feel free to submit a proposal. Then there's a question, can we submit more than one proposal? Yes, it's possible. We are not limiting the amount of proposals. We are just saying maximum for contracts and also limiting the amount of funding. We had even a case where there were really 2 good proposals, but then you're overshooting finally either the number of proposals or the number of funding, then we have to limit that and say, okay, we need to stick to those rules. But however, if you're saying, yes, I want to submit more than 1 proposal, you're very much invited to do that. And of course, we have the limit maximum in 4 projects and maximum 100,000 euro per organization. Very clear rules. An organization could be coordinator of more than 1 project. Yes, of course, it shall make sense. If this, of course, for different activities. If these are the same activities, we are not doing double funding, to say this from an administrative perspective, but if an organization sees that it makes sense and you want to do different things and it's complementary and really fits to your strategy, because we also think it's about the strategy. And if you're saying, yes, here we want to try this approach, and in this project we will try to do something else, then you're very much invited in this and to propose it. Is a consortium of digital innovation hubs coming from the same region eligible? Or do you preferably expect transnational consortium? Thank you very much. Very good question. both is possible. We are not saying either or, depending somehow on your strategy. Why are you doing it? I think it can be very interesting to have transnational cooperation. If it's just artificial, just for the sake, because I said, yeah, please do it, then you're doing a transnational collaboration. Well, it wouldn't make sense. It also depends where you're coming from, what kind of country you're coming from. I'm personally from Germany, which is a little bit larger than compared to other countries where possibly, let's say, what a region in Germany is possibly the overall country in another country, just in terms of organizations and so on. Therefore, I think that's please focus on your strategy. Why are you doing it? It shall make sense. We want to learn what is the best approach of doing it. If you think it really makes sense to do this transnational collaboration, and we see a lot of knowledge is available in Europe. There are a lot of clever people all over Europe, and I think it could be very helpful. No doubt about that. But however, if you say, yes, we want to focus here on our region, no, not a problem. Is there an expected link with the EDIH initiative? Thank you very much for the question. It is a type of, let's say, definition of digital innovation hubs, very clear definition. We are here, I said, yes, we are collaborating the project itself. SmartAgriHubs as a project itself is collaborating with a lot of initiatives, a lot of projects, and on diverse levels. Therefore, the open calls, if you think it makes sense in your region to have their direct collaboration with the EDIH, you're very much invited of doing so. If you're saying, we want to try out something, and as I said before, we are in innovation action, we want to learn, and therefore we are so flexible because there's a kind of characteristics and there's a definition, what are EDIH, they were selected and so on. Here it's way more bottom up. The approach we are supporting here is really bottom up because we want to learn. Because we want to learn from your experience what kind of approach, what kind of digital innovation hub services are leading to which result. Therefore, we do not want to restrain it, and we do not want to say this or that is better. It's rather a learning exercise what we really want to support here. So, Kiran, thank you very much for the question. What are the minimum requirements for a DIH to apply for the call? Registered company, non-profit organization. Yeah, thank you very much for the call. Very clear. Good to ask. Please, organizations who are applying for the call shall be legal entities. They need also to sign a legal entity form, not just persons, because this creates rather problems than anything else. Please, organizations. And it shall also be a kind of, it's not just a hackathon saying, oh, I have a great idea, I'm doing this or that, and writing it down. It's rather, please develop the strategy. We are not defining the size of the organization. We are not saying it shall be non-profit, it shall be for-profit organization. I think both sides have, let's say, different characteristics. So I think, and if I'm a for-profit organization, it might make sense to go for it, and a non-profit organization also. So there are different motivations, different business models in behind. I think it's important that you are aware of your business model, that you are aware of your strategy, that you are aware of your approach, and that you're just explaining that. And that is, let's say, the most convincing when you are explaining this strategy. And then we had very good also experience with the evaluators. If they understand this strategy, then it usually. How many partners do we need in submitting the proposals? Can it be only one SME? Yes, it could be only one SME. If an SME is saying, we would like to develop or offer services as a digital innovation hub, we have great ideas in providing such services on our region, then it could be one SME, which wants to develop the role also as a digital innovation hub. It would be possible. And therefore, what I said before, we are quite flexible on such proposals. It shall make sense, of course. Please also then identify to whom you are providing your services. Please also, we added Therefore, we added to the open call fiche and the proposal template, we are asking for some KPIs that you're also helping the evaluators to understand of what you are aiming at. For how many initiatives, organizations, or whatever you want to support, and facilitating this understanding. So, Viorel, did you consider any pre-financing for the service approved projects? So thank you very much for the question. I think we added it somewhere in the open call fiche. This will be somehow the general approach, as I think there is some, don't nail me down, but we have a funding scheme, and I think we have this pre-financing included there. But I will check it. Very good question. And I will also look in the forum and put it there in writing. Thank you very much for the question. Can you give an example of service project? Yes, thank you very much for asking. At first hand, I think it's when you're comparing it with the initiatives we did already here in SmartAgriHubs, when you're looking, for instance, at our website, where you see those experiments we did. Those experiments were done by different teams, which are then realizing digital innovations, digital transformations in the food system, so in the agri-food domain. Those teams were supported by digital innovation hubs and by other organizations, and especially more or less, that's this type of let's say, type of project we're looking for, where we really want to understand such models, where those type of digital innovation hubs and other organizations are developing services, providing services for making such innovation activities. So that is more or less this procedure. For myself, a digital innovation hub, possibly I already started. I want to refine, improve my strategy, my services, or I want to start a digital innovation hub. Then I'm developing my portfolio. And it's not just about if it's developing, but also then I need to try it out. I need to test my service. I need to offer the services. And then I'm collaborating with them. And therefore, I think you have a lot of, let's say, at the very end, when we are talking about digital transformations or digitization, and whatever buzzwords we're naming there, please also have a look at our website under experiments. There you find a lot of examples of what kind of initiatives shall be supported by digital innovations. Just example. And of course, examples, what we did, and this was also the reason what I did with the tabular overview in my presentation in Annex 5 of the open call fiche. We defined fundable activities. These are kind of activities of digital innovation hubs which are funded by us. Therefore, you find also there a lot of examples of such services to be taken into account. Then Sandra Novo, thank you very much for asking. We participated in two open calls. Maximum funding from SAH is 100,000 euro in total from all open calls. Yes, exactly, from all open calls. Be very clear on that. Not just from one, but all. Then a question, thank you very much for this. Can we have a partner outside of EU considering Brexit? Very clear. I won't now list all the countries which are eligible. Of course, at the one hand, all countries are eligible, which are members of the European Union, definitely. However, we are providing the funding according to the H2020 Horizon of the European funding program, Horizon 2020. We are applying those rules. Therefore, there are in the Horizon 2020 program, there's defined which countries are eligible in joining the open calls. And I think I already answered it in the forum quite some time ago. But however, there are lists which are listing all the countries. There are even Asian countries and worldwide countries eligible in H2020. So there is a possibility for also organizations which are outside Europe. However, be also very clear. The SmartAgriHubs is focusing on improving digital transformation in Europe. That's the strategy. If your project would focus on digital transformation in Asia, it's the wrong project. Also to have this in mind. One thing is the eligibility of potential proposers, to be clear on that. On the other hand, we have a strategy of the project, what we want to address. Therefore, please take this into account. And of course, if you want to have the specific links to tables, which countries are eligible or not, please also contact us via the forum, and then we can give you there also the references. There are also those documents from the Horizon 2020 programs. There are quite some more documents on that, but anyway, that's not a problem. We can easily provide you there some references and also answers in this direction. So I think my energy efficiency loudspeakers already switched off again. So great. Yeah.
Yes, I see some question coming in. Can you hear me, Harald?
Yes, now I hear you again.
Yes, we are already 6 minutes over time, but we got 2 more questions. I don't know if you want to cover them. Yes.
I'm happy to answer them. At least I hope that I will be able to answer them. So I saw we are 6 partners from EU countries and only 1 of use from UK. So UK, these are the rules from Horizon 2020. Too far as my current knowledge, UK can still join, as this is Horizon 2020 program. It's not Horizon Europe, it's Horizon 2020 program. Therefore, also partners from UK could join, at least to as far as I know. So if we already are a digital innovation hub as cluster of organizations, is there a limit of 100,000 euro for the whole cluster? Yeah, thank you very much. A very good question. The 100,000 euro is per organization. I think this answers your question. So not for Digital Innovation Hub if a Digital Innovation Hub is done by different organizations. The 100,000 euro is for organization. Of course, everything shall make sense at the very end of the day for which type of services you're offering, but it's per organization, per legal entity, not per kind of organizational, let's say, module you are offering there, per organization. What's the next deadline for Expand? Thank you very much also for this question. We are combining the deadlines of the service open call and the Expand open calls. This will also be then the 10th of November, as it is also, I think, in the website. And therefore, I don't know if we already updated the website, but it will be done in the next days, of course. And but definitely we will combine now, because also to avoid confusion for you and for us with the open calls, we said we are now combining the service open call deadlines with the Expand open call deadline. So this means every time we're announcing now a service open call, at least we are planning it in the moment, we are combining it also with an Expand deadline. So that is the current, yeah, thank you very much. Website is not yet updated, but it will be done. Thank you very much for highlighting that. Yes, definitely we will do that. Okay.
Yeah, we do not have any more questions. I just added in the chat a link towards our innovation portal. If you want to join Harald, who referred already to the forum, please make sure to create your login and to address any other additional question you may have. Last words to conclude this session, Harald?
At first, Margot, thank you very much for supporting the webinar. It was a pleasure. And thank you also to all the participants. It was a pleasure that you took the time of joining us for the service open call. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you also very much for the questions. And as I said, You're very welcome to ask any question in the forum. Of course, when you're asking there a question, it's public, and I'm also answering those questions in public in the forum that everybody can read it. It's at the very end helping all of us that we can learn from the questions and see all the answers. So you can also see historic answers. All the answers are still there. If there is something very, let's say secret where you think the forum is not the right place, you might also use the Smart Agri-Hubs communication channels. But really, we would like to ask about, let's say, those general questions. I think it's a benefit for all, and to ask the questions there, and then also others can browse the answers. So thank you very much for your time joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, looking forward to potential open calls, which we will receive until the first deadline already until 10th of November. Thank you very much.